members, will call to order the Committee on Jobs and Economic Development. It is Monday, February 17th. I am proud to announce that a quorum is present. Just as a roadmap, so that you know that today we will be hearing Senate File 1151 and Senate File 1278 from Senator Oumou Verbeten. That will also be followed by Senate File 1325 from Senator Kupec. And Senate File 775 from Senator Putnam, and Senate File 1335 from Senator Pappas, Senate File 1145 from Senator Mohamed, and Senate File 1187 and 1276 from our own Senator Pappas. As you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, we have a full agenda, so we will be limiting all testifiers to 2 minutes. Most people who have followed this committee, testified in front of this committee, know that we do that consistently with everyone. The only one who does not have to adhere to that 2-minute limit is will always be the senator. They can take as much time as they need to. Now, also understand that the committee can ask you as many questions as they want to, so there's no limitations as far as that is concerned. But I will say, if you're more than one testifier, it's always good that you build on each other's testimony as opposed to repeating each other. So that's one of the reasons why we do it that way. This was also posted on the committee website, and all testifiers, from my understanding, have been made aware of this limitation in advance. So thank you all for being here. We are looking forward to having a very productive and robust discussion about the various proposals that are coming before this committee. With that being said, let's see, do I see Senator Oumou Verbeten? There she is. I cannot forget her, right? So first up, we have Senate File 1151 from Senator Oumou Verbeten. So Senator, I believe you only have one testifier, correct? So please come forward with your testifier, and let's go forward. And I think Robert Ndandole, I think is the name of her testifier. If you are here, please feel free to come up as well. I don't see any takers. Is Robert with us?
Mr. Chair.
Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you. I know that Robert is in the building. I'm just going to try to locate him. Would it be okay to start with the other bill that I have first?
You know, you are one of my besties, so I will certainly let you do whatever you want, right? So Senator Oumou Verbeten, let's go forward then with Senate File 1278. Is that the one?
Yes.
Okay. And I understand that you have 2 testifiers, so if those 2 testifiers can come forward, that would be Michael Belton and Josh Thomas. So if you can come and join the great senator at the table, that would be great. So we're going to start off with this bill and then go back to the other one. Senator Oumou Verbeten, introduce yourself for the record and go forward with your testimony on Senate File 1151.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me, 1278. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Senate File 1278, and appreciate you considering this important workforce appropriation request for Ujamaa Place. Ujamaa Place was founded in 2009 when St. Paul African American leadership responded to the significant gap for young Black men living at the lowest end of the socioeconomic spectrum by working collectively with other nonprofits and community partnerships. Ujamaa Place serves primarily African-American men aged 18 to 30 from the Twin Cities 7-county metropolitan area who enroll at no cost in Ujamaa Place's theory of transformation, providing them with dozens of transformation support services to build positive lives for themselves and to move into contributing roles in society. And this bill would help further Ujamaa's mission with an appropriation of $2.5 million in fiscal year 2026, and then another $2.5 million in fiscal year 2027. And I have 2 testifiers here with me today from Ujamaa Place who can speak more to the need for this request. I did just want to note one thing. I believe committee members got a handout, and that references different senator being the chief author, but just want to clarify that I am the chief author of the bill. So just a small typo there. And I will hand it to Michael Belton, the interim CEO of Ujamaa Place.
And just one thing before we go to Michael Belton, I'm going to go to Ms. Noner, who is our fiscal analyst, and just want her to give us some context as to what's been done in the past, what are you asking for, so that we're all on the same page. Ms. Noner.
Mr. Chair, committee members, Ujamaa Place in the past has received Workforce Development Fund dollars. So in fiscal year 22-23, they received $800,000 over the biennium. And then in fiscal year 24-25, they received $2 million from the Workforce Development Fund. And Senate File 1278 is proposing, like Senator Oumou Verbeten stated, $2.5 million in 26 and $2.5 million in 27. As the bill is written right now, there isn't one-time language. So if the intention is for the bill to be one-time, I'd recommend adding that in the future.
All right, thank you so much. So it appears that you all are asking for $3 million more than what was ascertained in the current biennium. So we want to clarify that. And Senator Oumou Verbeten, you also need to clarify whether there's an intention of it being one time or if you're asking for something to be in the base. I've often said to the folks here in this room, if you're even thinking about putting anything in the base, it's not going to work, right? So if you give me your thoughts about that, that'd be great, and then we'll go to Mr. Belton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I'll let Mr. Belton speak to that. Just kind of the need for the increased request and then the intention. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Belton, welcome to the committee, and if you identify yourself for the record, that'd be great.
Thank you. My name is Michael Belton, and I happen to have the honor of being once again the interim CEO for Ujamaa Place. I'm here today to speak in favor of Senate File 1278, and I'm grateful to our author, Senator Oumou Verbeten, for carrying our bill. Ujamaa Place has been the recipient of funds over the last 2 years, and with these critical resources, we have been able to expand our programming and our impact on men and their impact on the St. Paul community. Ujamaa Place is on the rise. We are investing in new coaches trained in our high context method of coaching, working with our men on attaining their GEDs. That has become a requirement for all men who come to our program without a high school diploma. They must enroll in GED because, as we all know, you don't get very far without at least a high school education or diploma. We have been improving our mental health services. We currently hire a doctoral level mental health provider as well as a chemical health provider. With these additional funds, we will be able to enhance our programming, offering opportunities to young men who may need them. We have expanded a satellite office in Minneapolis, and we are particularly focused on investing and expanding our opportunities for housing and the support for our men pursuing further education and career and technical development. With these funds, we will also be investing in new recruitment efforts to reach the men in our community who need services but do not know how to get them.
Mr. Belton, thank you for that testimony. If there's anything else that you'd like for us to know, the committee may ask you some questions, but that was your 2 minutes, okay, sir? We'll go to the other testifier, but if you will remain there, that'd be great, okay? The other testifier. And state your name for the record, and please give us your 2 minutes of testimony.
Hi, my name is Joshua Thomas. I started as a Ujamaa man during the summer of 2024, where I was dealing with a lot of things. Like, I didn't have to deal with not one but 2 divorces from, both my parents and my grandparents. Lots of stuff with my mom, personal issues. And I didn't have anywhere to go. And, with that, my grandpa introduced me to Ujamaa and was like, hey, there was a program that is going to let you, do certain things. Like they're going to provide you with housing. They'll help you get back on your feet. And, being at Ujamaa, has helped me a lot mentally. It has helped me a lot physically. And it has helped me with a place to stay, a place to eat. Many people coming from different backgrounds, different histories, we all unite as brothers. And with Ujamaa, it's helped a lot of people. And with that, we have mental health, they helped us physically, with meditation, they help us mentally. They, teach us, financial literacy, APYs, APKs, stuff like that. So they have definitely helped us, as young black men.
Well, Mr. Thomas, thank you for being here, and thank you for your testimony. And I'm so ecstatic about your success. So I wish you continued success. I have a question for Mr. Belton. Mr. Belton, I understand that you talked about receiving the past appropriation, which we understand is true, and you talked about a litany of services that you all provide at Ujamaa Place. Can you give me a sense of what you all did with the past appropriation, like how many people did you serve in your job training, as well as in your employment prep? How many of those people received employment? And if so, how many and at what wage? Mr. Belton.
Chairman Champion, I wish that I could give you those numbers. I know we have those numbers. These are numbers that do not stick in my head. And so I can better answer the first part of your question, what we've been doing, how we've expanded, how we've used those funds. We've hired new coaches. We've hired additional staff in other areas of our organization. We've also expanded our meal program from 2 meals a day for 4 days to 3 meals a day for 4 days a week. I'm trying to think of some other things that might interest.
No, you did just fine, Mr. Button. You can provide that information for us later, and if you provide the information for us that really focuses on, because it's the job in Economic Development Committee, we are always focused on jobs, right? We're focused on employment, careers that individuals have had the opportunity to come through your program and participate in. The other things that you talked about, I believe, are very important, because if someone's hungry, then it's very difficult for them to go out and find employment. But for us, we have to have something to measure, which is, what you did with the money before, how that program will be expanded when we think in terms of job training and those sort of things. So if you would just provide us that information later, that would be great, and I'll make sure I circulate it to the rest of the committee. Mr. Belton, were you going to say something?
Chair Champion, we found at Ujamaa Place that for many of the men who come, there's not a straight line between meeting with a job coach and getting a job and keeping a job. Many of these men, I would say probably all of them, suffer from some type of trauma, some more severe than others. And in order for them to be able to get a job and maintain a job, they need some sort of mental health services. And that's one of the reasons why I've been emphasizing them, because we're finding more and more men who need these services, as well as more and more men who do not have an education that would allow them to take some of these jobs that lead to a career.
I totally understand. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm just curious, the testifier just talked about mental health. Do you provide mental health treatment?
Yes,
like licensed mental health treatment?
Yes.
Mr. Belton.
Yes.
Okay, no. How this works is he asked a question, then you got to wait for me to recognize you. So I know that you were like, yes, what else you want? No, it's okay. Were you done with your question, Senator Pratt?
I appreciate his brevity. I had one more question.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And quick question. It talks about organizational capacity building. Can you tell me, this is a large increase. I think that the chair said a $3 million increase. Was it a $2 or $3 million increase?
It's a $3 million.
$3 million increase. How much of that additional money is going towards organizational capacity building, and then can you explain that?
Mr. Belton.
I'll try to explain it. A great deal of that money is going to be spent on the programming for the men, as well as hiring additional coaches. Additional coaches in education, additional coaches in mental health services. We're up to our eyeballs in men who need mental health services, good qualified licensed therapists, as well as looking at job opportunities for these men who need employment, but who also have the capacity to be employed.
Senator Pratt, any follow-up? Senator
Thank you.
Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm just curious, because some of what you talked about, Mr. Belton, seems to fall under the other categories, whether it's job training, employment preparation, education. I'm trying to figure out specifically what is the organizational capacity? If you have more clients and you're doing the other functions, then those additional headcounts should pay for themselves through capacity. But it sounds like something more administrative or behind the scenes, and that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Mr. Belton, to the question.
Senator Pratt, I'm not sure I fully understand your question.
Senator Pratt, follow-up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, Mr. Belton, you just said you wanted to hire additional coaches for education, mental health services, and job opportunities, all of which I see in the other descriptions for the uses of the money. So I'm trying to figure out what is, as you're increasing the number of people that you're helping through education, or the additional people that you're helping through job preparation, seems to be, I'm trying to figure out where the additional FTE are coming from and why they're not included in those other categories, but it's not explaining to me why we need the additional $3 million.
Mr. Belton.
Well, to try to put a finer point on what I've been trying to say, and that is simply that additional coaches require salaries, require all kinds of things, and with our new coaches, we are able to serve more men than we're able to serve now, and we're also able to increase the quality of services to the men that we have now, and also increase our capacity, the number of men that we can serve in any one time.
And Senator Pratt, is it a possibility that we can provide him the opportunity to send us some information?
Sure.
If he's had a chance to think about it, so he can put a finer point on that. Senator Pratt.
And Mr. Chair, if that's the direction we're going, I would hope Mr. Belton could provide us the number of men he's serving today and how much more he'd be able to serve with the additional funds.
And that was information that I have asked
Got it.
him to provide for us, and I'll make sure that I circulate that to the committee as well. Are there any other questions for Mr. Belton or Mr. Thomas? Senator Oumou Verbeten, you can give us the last word as it pertains to Senate File number 1278 before we lay it over for possible inclusion. Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think this is a great program, and I hope that the committee can find the ability to support it.
With that being said, Senate File number 1278 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you to your testifiers.
Thank you.
Senator, we were going to start with your Senate File number 1151, and we hope by now Robert Ndandole is with us. And he's back there. All right. Thank you so very much. Mr. Ndandole, if you would come to the table and join Senator Oumou Verbeten, that would be great. Members, we are going to look at Senate File number 1151, and while the other testifiers coming up before Senator Oumou Verbeten gives us an overview, I'm going to start with Ms. Nomer to kind of give us a financial picture so we're all on the same page. Ms. Nomer.
Mr. Chair and committee members, FilmNorth received $100,000 in fiscal year 2025 for one-time funding from the Workforce Development Fund, and Senate File 1151 is requesting one-time funding of $400,000 in fiscal year 2026 from the general fund.
All right, Senator Oumou Verbeten to your Senate File number 1151. Give us an overview and your approach, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate File 1151 would support and protect Minnesota's $25 million production tax incentive program by providing the skilled workforce needed, educates, trains, and prepares workers to meet current and future needs in the film industry. Because jobs in the film industry are specific and highly specialized, workforce training programs are essential. The current state of these training programs is really a patchwork of programs primarily focused on production assistance through short and consistent sessions. The film community understands that Minnesota's long-term success in attracting film production to the state and building a robust film production community requires a well-thought-out and planned statewide training program. We need a program where all students are trained to the same standards and provided the same opportunities, overseen by dedicated staff that offer courses on a regular basis throughout the year. A film workforce training program provides us an opportunity to do several things. First, to train people who may have been excluded from this type of work previously, to develop a young workforce that comes from increasingly diverse communities in the state, to attract and retain people in highly skilled positions. And FilmNorth is really uniquely positioned to develop that statewide workforce training program. A few things about FilmNorth: they already serve the entire state and partner with peer organizations across Minnesota. They have a 35-plus year track record in mentors. They have a national reputation that instills confidence in students trained to our standards to out-of-state productions. And they also have a state-of-the-art education and production facility with dedicated space for workforce training program that includes remote video equipment in all of the classrooms. And then finally, this program would be developed by studying and visiting successful film workforce training programs in other states, by assembling and leading a team to develop a program engaging the entire state and meeting every region's needs, by piloting a program for feedback from participants and program partners, and by using data and information gathered to fund and launch a formal sustainable program. And that concludes my testimony, but I do have Robert Ndando-Lay, who leads the workforce training initiatives at FilmNorth, here to share more.
Thank you so much. Please state your name for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you so much. My name is Robert Dondelay. Again, apologies for my tardiness. I was here early, just in the wrong place. I am the Director of Engagement and Advancement at FilmNorth, as well as the Meknite Media Arts Fellowship Program Administrator. I head our professional development initiatives at FilmNorth. We are the leading filmmaker support organization in the upper Midwest. We serve over 500 students. We have a handful of community partners, of which that we already do a handful of professional development, from Juvenile Detention Center, Hennepin County, to McGizzy with Indigenous Youth, Esperanza United with Latinx Youth, so on and so on. I'll cut to the chase. Essentially, a workforce development training program specifically for film is urgently needed. In my job, in my capacity, I oversee not just our outreach programs, but then also the advancement of artists who are looking to matriculate into the film and television industry. The number one question that I receive from emerging artists is, how can I get on a set? Whereas conversely, the number one question I receive from inquiring productions coming into the state is, where can we find crew? As of right now, there is a film directory for formerly Minnesota Film and Television, the film board as it is right now, Explore Film Minnesota. However, that has not served as an adequate resource at this moment for the number of productions who are seeking inquiry about production here. So as of right now, our intention is to create, as thank you, our senator mentioned, a statewide workforce program that would be able to address that urgent need.
So thank you so much for your testimony. So just a couple questions. So currently, is this program that you are talking about where you're asking for some support, is it currently in place now? Mr. To the testifier.
Thank you. It is not currently in place right now. What we have done right now is actually put together research committees of which we have been studying other workforce development programs around the state, both within our market as well as larger markets that we hope to later imitate.
And Mr. Nandale, if it's not in effect now, how did you come up with the request of $400,000? What sort of information did you ascertain in order to say that the need is $400,000? And with $400,000, how many students would you have enrolled in any training program or would be able to go through a training program?
Fantastic question. So we looked at it based on market size. So for example, if you were to take a look at California or New York, that's going to far exceed $400,000. At that point, you're kind of looking into the millions. However, if you were to look at something that was a little bit more indicative of what our market size is for film and television, more so in the Seattle range, Oklahoma, Oregon, North Carolina, South Carolina, in that vein, you're looking at anything from around $800,000 to as low as $400,000 for that. And then your second question, I'm sorry, could you please repeat that for me, Mr. Chair?
Don't worry about it. I think that you sort of answered it in a roundabout way, and I do appreciate that.
Thanks.
So you did mention that we currently have what used to be the Film Board, but is now under the auspices of the of Explore Minnesota. What is different about what you're asking for? Because you did say that they don't have the capacity to do that, and I'm curious to know how do you reach that conclusion?
Absolutely. So Explore Film Minnesota, I believe they have a staff of 2.5 to 3 full-time staff members. They do not administer training. Their primary focus is to serve as a resource to filmmakers, particularly in information and the tax incentive, and then also to kind of help advocate with other states in order to bring work here. They don't work in an education or training capacity. So what they currently have is a crew directory that is free, that you can sign up based on approval. However, that would not offset the need for crew in and of itself.
And did you mention earlier, or at least someone did, that FilmNorth has, what, 35 years of experience? Is that true? Is that number correct?
That is correct.
And if so, why are you making the proposal now as opposed to 34 years ago or even 10 years ago? Why today?
It's a fantastic question. There's been an uptick as of recent. So if you look around the country, as of recent, even some markets that we've seen significant activity in film and television are, I'm not going to say just now, but about 5 to 10 years ago have realized the need for workforce development programs. I think a lot of it comes from, one, the impact that it has on the economy in and of itself, but then also the social impact and responsibility associated with it, where it can be in tandem with the diversity and equity and inclusion program if so desired. So in a sense, it's building the foundation based on the need that has been demonstrated over the past 10, 20 years.
Thank you for answering my questions. Any other questions? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one question, and it's based on the answer that you got. You stated the program's not in place, but you got a $100,000 grant last year. Can you explain how you used those funds?
Absolutely. So that program has entirely been based towards research, right? So research, travel, funding, a lot of the things that we have to do is bring in experts who have expertise, who have worked on either prior committees for workforce development or partnerships with unions, colleges, universities. That work in and of itself, it seems like it would be a quick and easy thing, but it's actually a rather long and extensive process.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And can you tell me how much of your funding comes from non-public sources?
That I would not.
Testifier.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. That I would not be able to disclose at this moment, but I'm happy to get that information to you at a later date.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing no other questions from the committee, thank you so very much, Mr. Nadale. I appreciate you being here. Senator Oumou Verbeten, any other final words before we lay Senate File number 1151 on the table for possible inclusion? Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, just think this is a great program. Really proud to have FilmNorth in my district, and hope the committee will find the ability to support it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Senate File 1151 is now laid on the table for possible inclusion.
Thank you.
Members, we will now go to Senate File Number 1325, Senator Kupec, and I see that you have one testifier, if that's correct, Senator Kupec. Mr. Murphy, if you both could come to the table, that'd be great. And while you're taking your seat at the table, I'm going to turn to Ms. Nomner to tell us about the financial history and where we are. Ms. Nomner.
Mr. Chair and committee members, to my knowledge, the Jobs Committee in the past 2 biennia have not funded a program like this. It looks like it's a new grant program being established.
Thank you so very much. Senator Kupec, welcome to the committee. Identify yourself for the record and give us your overview before you turn it over to your testifier. Senator Kupec.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. First, I'll just start out by thanking my co-authors, Senator Nelson, Senator Putnam, and Senator Utke, for working on this bill with me. So Minnesota faces a significant workforce shortage in dental assistants and dental hygienists. Recent data indicates that most dental practices are actually hiring for these positions, with 2/3 of dentists indicating recruitment is extremely challenging or very challenging. Without more allied dental personnel in the workforce, access to care is significantly impacted. Minnesota's dental assisting and hygiene schools are at maximum capacity, with demand outweighing available openings. Each program faces financial barriers that limit their ability to increase student population. The number of graduates entering the dental workforce will continue to be limited if funding is not available to access these programs. And even within my district, I know Minnesota State Community Technical College, this is one of their most expensive programs to run because of the equipment that they have. The program is full and there is a waiting list to get in. So there is a huge demand across the state too for people to get into these programs. So this bill will appropriate funds in the form of grants for dental assisting and hygiene schools to address the challenges inhibiting their ability to increase capacity. Grants could be used for, but not limited to, infrastructure projects for classroom clinic space, student scholarships, hiring or retaining faculty and staff, equipment, or other program-specific needs. The bill has support of a wider dental community, including the Minnesota Educators of Dental Assisting, Minnesota Dental Hygiene Educators Association, Dental Hygienists Association, and the Minnesota Critical Access Dental Providers Association, just among others.
Thank you, Senator Kupec. And now to your testifier, Mr. Murphy. State your name for the record and provide your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Chair Champion and members of the committee. My name is Dan Murphy. I'm with the Minnesota Dental Association, the state's professional association for dentists. As Senator Kupec mentioned, we worked in collaboration with the Dental Hygiene Educators Association and the Minnesota Educators of Dental Assistants Association, among other stakeholders, to bring forward this bill. As Senator Kupec also mentioned, we have a significant workforce shortage of dental assistants and hygienists in the state of Minnesota. And when we've looked at kind of the bottleneck that is happening at the state programs, the number of applicants that have applied to these programs, and the number of graduates entering into the workforce, there was a need there to address the capacity issue so that we could address the workforce issue and then also address the access to care that Minnesotans so need. I won't go into too many further details. Senator Kupec has gone over it very, very well. What I do want to mention and direct your attention to in the packets is each hygiene and assisting program has laid out kind of their specific needs, their capacity limitations, if they have a wait list, the number of applicants that they receive each year. I want to mention that if there's not a wait list, that does not mean that they don't turn away a significant amount of applicants. They also have an estimated amount of what each program might use any grant funds towards. And I think that you can use that information when you go towards the justification of the $15 million ask of this bill. I will mention that we are very much aware that is a significant request for this bill, particularly this development fund. However, any help that this committee can provide to these programs to address this workforce issue would be very, very much appreciated. So thank you for your time and consideration today, and happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. I have a question for Senator Kupec. Senator Kupec, as I look at Senate File Number 1325, and when you look specifically at lines 1.9 to 1.10, also lines 1.11 to 1.12, it talks about assisting higher education programs and student enrollment capacity. That sounds to me like a higher education bill, where this bill should be in higher ed as opposed to in the Jobs Committee? And if you can speak to that, but then my second question is, you stated during your recitation of what this bill is all about, you talked about the $15 million could be used for infrastructure. And I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. Infrastructure sends the signal that this is a bonding bill and not a jobs bill. So there are two things that you've listed here that seem to be outside of our purview. Would you be so kind as to articulate with clarity why the Jobs Committee should be entertaining this bill? Senator Kupec.
Sure, absolutely. And I think partly instead of the higher ed bill, I think because this is kind of a workforce issue that we've heard from dentists that they are very short on this and there's a bottleneck there. And I think on the infrastructure side, when I think of infrastructure for this, maybe not in the classic sense of like we need to put on a building, but I'm thinking of the equipment that goes into these programs. So like when I visit the school in Moorhead, they have specific they have a dummy that they work on, and it's very expensive equipment within that. So in terms of the infrastructure, I think that's more what I'm thinking of as opposed to like classic kind of bonding, like we need to build a school. So.
Any other questions for Senator Kupec? Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair Champion, and thank you for bringing the bill forward. I think it's a much-needed influx of capital to help our higher education meet the needs of future jobs from people I've talked to in and around my area. And, you know, from what I remember, the cost of putting in like a station was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars per station. And from what I read on some of the schools, you know, you might have 10 stations. And if you're putting $200,000-300,000 per station, I can see why they do need help trying to fund that and yet still keep school affordable for the next generation. So I appreciate that. You know, the one suggestion that I have reading over the bill, if it's truly a grant program and kind of one-time funding, would be on line 1.19, improving faculty and staff salaries. So I understand, you know, buying the tools and the chairs and all the other stuff needed to teach the next generation. But I do have a problem with that. And I don't know where this is going, Chair, after here.
Laid over.
So if it does move forward, you know, my suggestion is we cross that out or delete 1.19. I don't want to make an amendment today. I'm just making a suggestion. Because I do know how expensive it is to buy those chairs and all the equipment that goes with it. So I understand that. And I know I have friends that work at Minnesota State University Mankato, or what I call Mankato State, that work in this area. And I know they've really struggled because they have too many people trying to get in. And what a shame that we have all these campuses all over the state and we still have a capacity issue. So, and then my other suggestion was just to make it for Mankato State only. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I had the same concern as Senator Draheim on using one-time money for ongoing expenses like salaries. I'm wondering if there's anybody from Minnesota State that's here that can testify on the bill.
Is there anyone here from Minnesota State? Doesn't appear so. Senator Pratt.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Kupec, I kind of disagree with your interpretation of this, and maybe I think I'd like some more detail on this, because when I see building new clinical physical infrastructure, to me that says a building, and I would want to know if this is already on Minnesota State's capital investment requests, or if there's any higher ed asset protection or HEAPR money that these changes are already done. But I'd really like to hear from somebody from Minnesota State that can come in and help us understand how these funds would be used. So, Mr. Chair, I'll just stop right there, and hopefully we can get that before.
Yes. So Senator Kupec, unless you know, you can answer, but if you don't, remember, Senator Pratt, this bill is being laid over for possible inclusion, and before a decision is made, we can make sure that you have any additional information from Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. Senator Kupec, do you have any response, or would you like me just to wait until later if this bill is going to be included at all?
Sure, I will respond. To my knowledge, I do not believe it does, but we definitely should check on that. And I would also agree, with Senator Draheim's concerns. I get the idea about one-time funding going towards salaries, because then you're putting yourself in a difficult situation. So I'd be open, certainly, to fixing that. And in terms of Mankato alone, in Moorhead, we do refer to you as the other MSUM, so probably not going to do that.
And last thing, if this is included, and I'm not suggesting that it will be because all of being laid over for possible inclusion, you might want to also give us a little information about line 1.21 where it says addressing other needs identified by an applicant. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it would appear to be a catch-all phrase, and anything would be allowed under that. Under those circumstances, but it looks like you're pointing to Mr. Murphy. If you have a response to that, you can share. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Chair Champion. Yes, and if you look at the information that the programs have provided, you will see, particularly with the hygiene programs, they've explained what they would use the grant for, and some of them have specific needs that are unique to that program, and so I would just refer you to that. As you can go down and look at each program and find the answer to the question there as well.
Any other questions from the committee before we lay this over for possible inclusion? Seeing none, closing comments from you, Senator Kupec, and thank you so much for being here.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would only say I was really hoping that we would hear this bill at 2:30 this afternoon, which is the dentist's favorite time.
All right.
You can think about that one. That's it. I'll leave you with that.
If there's nothing else.
2:30. There you go. Ms. Fontaine was a little slow on the uptake there.
Senate File number 1325 is laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you so very much. Members, we now go to Senate File number 775. That is Senator Putnam. And Senator Putnam, you have one testifier, which would be Mr. Ron Elwood, who's the supervising attorney from Legal Services. And members, if I can say this while Senator Putnam is being seated, there are two things that I'd like to say. One is, if there's any, ask Ms. Noner if there's any past financial support as it pertains to this Senate file number.
Mr. Chair and committee members, there isn't any past funding that has gone towards for this purpose. And then I'll just also mention that the Senate file has some blank appropriations.
Thank you. So I wanted to make a couple of things clear so we can level set here. This bill was referred to us, and Senator Putnam asked us to hear it, and I agreed to hear it, but also for us to re-refer it to the Ag Committee where he can continue the work on this, because I believe that this is potentially something that Ag should wrestle with as opposed to us. So even with my own, concerns, but we hope we can have a good discussion before passing the bill out of this committee and on to the Ag Committee. So all that is my way of saying you don't have to beat the bill up totally all around everything that might be there or not there, because my hope is that you ask enough questions for us to move it on to the Ag Committee. With that being said, Senator Putnam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for the break in abuse that I was about to take, but also acknowledging that means you don't have to pay for it too, which is also kind of nice. And also, I just briefly would like to take a moment to say it's great to be back in the Jobs Committee. And I had intended to bring baked goods or donuts or something, but I brought some donuts this morning. They already got eaten, so I apologize. But I'm really glad to see you guys again. I missed you terribly. And thanks for the opportunity, Mr. Chair, to talk about this important issue. Mr. Elwood is also testifying in a different committee right now, so I'm not sure he's going to make it here in time for us.
Would you like for us to wait for Mr. Elwood before you present the bill, or are you okay with going forward today?
I think we'll be fine.
All right, with that being said, I know that you have an A1 amendment. Is that correct? Oh, that's Senator Draheim. Sorry about that. You go, and then Senator Draheim will be able to approach the committee about his A1 amendment. Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, many of you might know, or maybe you don't, the precarious positioning which Minnesota agriculture faces right now in this moment. 1/5 of the jobs in Minnesota are about agriculture. Depending on the math, close to 1/3 of Minnesota's GDP is agriculture related. But right now, weather events, high costs of inputs, and the faithlessness of the federal government had made today a very difficult moment for everyone in agriculture. Farmer, farmhand, we all face what is starting to be called the Great Farm Recession of 2025. This bill creates an ombudsperson for safety, health, and well-being of agriculture and food processing workers housed within the Department of Employment and Economic Development. The idea of the creation of an ombudsperson was first broached in 2021, and it was included as a bipartisan component of the 2022 Jobs and Economic Development Omnibus Bill, which unfortunately failed to advance that year. The purpose of this position is found on lines 1.19 to 1.2. It is intended to, quote, assist agriculture and food processing workers with issues, including, but not limited to, housing, workplace safety, and fair labor standards in Minnesota. One of its primary functions will be help centralize some of the functions that are housed in separate state agencies. Basically, this is a one-stop shop for people who are struggling in agriculture, for employers and employees to improve their relations with each other and to make sure that every farm has the labor that they need. We've heard many stories from workers who've had no place to turn to get questions answered that address safety, health, and housing concerns of workers in the agriculture and food processing industries. Having a repository of resources and expertise would be of immeasurable help to both workers and employers in these industries to help us understand the laws and their rights and responsibilities. And this is a point I wanted to underscore, is that this is a reciprocal benefit. This is not workers at the in conflict with farms, but working together, both businesses, large and small in agriculture, and everyone who works on a farm will benefit from a situation like this. Now, we've reached out to industry and community organizations. There's widespread support for this proposal. Community organizations and advocates for workers in greater Minnesota support this bill. The Minnesota Farmers Union, the Minnesota Farm Bureau Federation, the Midwest Food Products Association, the Minnesota Pork Producers Association have not expressed concerns with this bill. In fact, AgriGrowth, one of, if not the largest group that advocates for agribusiness, stated in their 2024 letter of support for this bill that they, quote, continue to be in contact with relevant agencies, associations, advisory groups, and employers, and they find broad support for the role of an ombudsman in this important area. And we all share the common belief that this ombudsman and that office is essential to providing the needed communication and collaboration for Minnesota agriculture. That's from AgriGrowth. That's their direct quote. Now, in a time of great challenge for agriculture, business, and workers, all agree that now is the time that we need to supply a little help. Mr. Elwood was going to talk us through a little bit some of these more formalities, but I think I can handle the questions when we're ready. So, Mr. Chair, those are my introduction to the bill.
Thank you, Chair Champion, and thank you, Senator Putnam, for bringing the bill forward. I support the concept. I'm a co-author. Thank you for bringing it forward. I do have an A1 that I tried to share with you and the committee ahead of time. What I think is just a little cleanup to help the bill, and I'm not offended if you don't accept it, but I think you should. So that's why I'm bringing it forward. So I have the A1 amendment. I'd like to offer the A1.
Senator Draheim offers the A1 amendment. And Senator Draheim, a little more to your amendment, what it will do, and then we can see if there's any discussion.
Perfect.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Putnam. So just pretty straightforward. On line 24, we put N ranking minority members. The minority does matter. And so I think it's just great to keep both minority and majority in the loop. And then the reporting, that's just some cleanup language that the report is put in the reference library. And then for transparency's sake, on line 30, insert a description of all expenditures. So just so we know moving forward, I think it's just good governance changes. Hopefully you will find it as a friendly amendment.
Senator Putnam to the A1 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Graham. First off, I very much appreciate you sharing this with me beforehand. That was very kind of you and collegial, so thanks for that. And I also appreciate your consistent and principled concerns about transparency and accountability. I very much appreciate that you always raise that concern. And yes, I do accept this as a friendly amendment, Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion on the A1 amendment? Senator Pratt?
Not on the A1.
All right. All right. Any other discussion on the A1 amendment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The A1 amendment is adopted. Before the committee is Senate File Number 775 as amended. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Putnam, I really just kind of have one question. As I look at the purpose of the bill around housing, workplace safety, and fair labor standards, I'm wondering why we're choosing the Department of Employment and Economic Development to house this versus, say, the Department of Ag or Department of Labor.
Senator Putnam to the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Pratt. It's an excellent question, something we have thought a fair amount about. It's in aid of independence. Were this to be housed in the Department of Agriculture or the Department of Labor, there might be potential conflicts of interest or difficulties there, whereas DEED seems to be more independent in its role of potentially overseeing agricultural labor in particular. So it's a deliberate decision to try to maintain as much independence as we possibly could and to avoid a chance wherein foxes are guarding the hen house, as it were.
Senator Pratt, any follow-up?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just looking out for you, Senator Putnam, would this be funded then out of the Department of Ag, or would it be to fund and the Ag Committee, or would this be funded out of the Jobs and Economic Development Committee?
Senator Putnam.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Senator Pratt. Are you asking me what I think is going to happen or what I want to have happen?
I'll let you choose, Senator Putnam.
I'm going to go with yes. These are difficult fiscal times, Senator Pratt, as you're fully aware. You are also probably equally aware that the ag budget is typically ginormous. You're all supposed to laugh at that.
Smiling.
So I know that the bill has a different path in the House. I understand from conversations with Senator Champion that he would prefer it be funded in the ag budget, and if I could find a way in the ag budget, that's what I would do, if I could.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Senator Putnam? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. More of a question for you is will we see this bill come back if it's going to come out of your target?
Senator Pratt, absolutely, if this would come back, if it were coming out of my budget, but I've made it very clear to our wonderful Senator Putnam that this sounds like something the Ag Committee should do. But we'll continue to have conversations about it. That's what I'll say. But if it is, or if there's a change in heart somewhere, and you know my heart doesn't change that much, right? But if there is a change of heart, we would certainly do that. Senator Pratt.
No, Mr. Chair, I support moving it out of the committee and getting it someplace else.
Any other
I thought you were my friend.
questions? Senator Pop.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Putnam, for bringing this bill forward and us having a chance to take a look at it as well. But I just have one question. Well, first I want to say thank you for putting in here about the language because limited English, there's a lot of people that are in this industry that have limited English. And they have to be able to access the resources, report concerns. So I really like that piece of this bill. My question is worker complaints and protections. Like what mechanism is established for agricultural food processing workers to be able to safely report concerns about the workplace conditions without like fear of retaliation? Because that's always a big one.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Pop. That's actually part of what motivates this bill initially, is that it's not just a storehouse of information, it's also a potential advocate who can connect people to resources for essentially their self-defense. It's really unlikely that someone who's working on a farm necessarily knows how to call legal aid to get some free legal advice. This Ombudsperson would help that, would facilitate that kind of a process. Not themselves necessarily taking up on behalf of an agricultural worker, but making sure that they have access to the resources that they need, to have some kind of protection in this space. And we did do something in labor about 2 years ago for people who worked in meat processing plants specifically, and that was to help those individual meat packing plants take care of workers. But the Ombudsperson also would, I think, facilitate a greater protection from retaliation as well. In fact, I think that's what this bill is supposed to do, is exactly what you're asking it for it to do.
Any
you.
follow-up, Senator Barr?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Any other questions for Senator Putnam? Senator Putnam, you want to have your final close before we vote on passing this as amended and referring it to the Committee on Agriculture. Senator Putnam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for hearing the bill. I also want to thank our co-authors, Senators Mohamed, Housechild, Draheim, and Mann. Very much appreciate all of your awareness of the issue and our need to fix it. So thank you again, Mr. Chair.
With that being said, it sounds like Senator Pratt is okay with moving that Senate File 775 as amended be passed and re-referred to the Committee on Agriculture. Senator Pratt, are you okay with that?
Sure.
That is his motion. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. And now we will go forward. Your bill is passed and re-referred. Thank you so much, Senator Putnam. Members, we are now going to Senator Pappas, who is always on time because she just walked in. Senator Pappas will be presenting Senate File 1335. And before she starts, I will now go to Ms. Nomer, who will give us a background on the financial picture. Ms. Nomer.
Mr. Chair and members, Centers for Independent Living is what is being funded in Senate File 1335, and this has been a base item in the jobs budget. So in fiscal year 2022-2023, it received $6 million from the general fund over the biennium. In fiscal year 24-25, it received a one-time increase of $8 million over the biennium, so a total of $14 million. And then the base ongoing beginning in fiscal year 26-27 was $6 million each biennium. This bill is proposing that $8 million increase again for fiscal year 26-27, and also to have that amount ongoing.
And that would be ongoing as well? Is that what you said, Ms. Nomer?
Mr. Chair, yes. As the bill is written currently, there isn't one-time language, so it's assumed to be ongoing in the base with increase.
All right, thank you so much. Now, Senator Pappas, to your Senate File number 1335.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm pleased to present to you Senate File 1335, a bill that would fund the 8 centers for independent living across Minnesota, including the one on Robert Street in St. Paul, located just a couple blocks from where I live and in my district. That one serves the entire Twin Cities metropolitan area. The Minnesota Centers for Independent Living have statutory standing as nonprofits in Minnesota, and they're seeking legislation to add the $8 million one-time funding in the previous biennium to the $3 million base. An independent report identifies $18.5 million to fully serve all Minnesotans with disabilities in every one of the 87 counties. Your support for MASL request moves us further to be of greater assistance to people with disabilities throughout Minnesota, and this bill is a big step forward to reaching the ultimate goal. You'll be hearing from some testifiers today that will give further details on the funding and the impact it has. One note that I'd like to add, the centers keep Minnesotans with disabilities independent and in their homes, giving them jobs and life skills. In the last several years, the centers have saved Minnesota over $100 million by preventing people from entering costly institutions like nursing homes and assisted living centers and allowing them to be truly independent. So with me today, I have Mr. Jesse Betke-Gomez, the director of the Metropolitan Center for Independent Living that assists people with disabilities in both my district and yours. Mr.
Thank you so very much. Welcome to the committee. State your name for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Again, welcome to the committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. My name is Jesse Bethke-Gomez. I'm the Executive Director of Metropolitan Center for Independent Living. We're very grateful to Senator Pappas as our chief author of Senate File 1335. The Centers for Independent Living are located throughout the state of Minnesota, in Hibbing, in Moorhead, in Sauk Rapids, East Grand Forks, down the street in Robert Street in St. Paul, where we have our center, Rochester, Marshall, and Mankato. We serve all people with disabilities, people with apparent and non-apparent disabilities. We serve all age groups from birth to older adults. What is unique about the centers is that not only we are statutory in state law, but we're statutory in federal law. 50% of our employees must be people with disabilities, and well over half of our board members must be people with disabilities as well. We're deeply committed to independent living, which is critical for us. As a Center for Independent Living, I'm also proud to say that Vocational Rehabilitation Services serves as our federal designated state entity, which that means good oversight, transparency, and rigorous review. Let me say that among our core services for the state, for our Centers for Independent Living, is helping to help people move from institutions back into the community. And the number of people this past 2 years helping people relocate from nursing homes to assisted living facilities is over 1,655. And that really is also a savings anywhere from $250 million to the cost of an assisted living facility, which is $64,000 a year, of over $100 million. We're happy to be here, and we're grateful for your entertaining of Senate file number 1335.
Thank you so much for your testimony, and if you could just wait there for us. Once we finish with the testimony, we'll see if the committee has any questions for you. Ms. LaFleur, if you would be so kind as to introduce yourself for the record and provide us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. My name is Carol LaFleur. I grew up in an abusive household from 1990 to 1997. After being homeless and an addict, I ended up in a domestic violence lit on fire. I was in every psychiatric unit in the state of Minnesota, including 2 group homes, a nursing home, and 2 commitments. January 21st, 1997, I was released from Anoka Regional Treatment Center after being abused there by staff members as well as other patients. Went home, had no services, became homebound. Mind you, all this is being covered by the state of Minnesota, a lot of money. I didn't want to live. I just didn't care what happened to me. I wanted to stay in my house. Soon enough, I was given a case manager who provided me with services from Metropolitan Center for Independent Living, which was a PCA. With the work from her coming into my home, talking to me, working with me, helped me get my independent living skills back. And by the way, at that time, I was 60 pounds in a wheelchair, unable to walk on my own. She worked with me daily. Eventually, in 2005, I entered college and went to college daily with her assistant, and I graduated in 2014 with my bachelor's in criminal justice and summa cum laude, class speaker, outstanding undergraduate, things that would not have happened being in those facilities. I was never asked, did I have a dream, a goal, or an aspiration, which most of you probably have heard in your life. I never did. Being a Native American woman, I was hired in 2015. I work at Metro Transit Police Department. I was hired by Chief John Harrington at that time. I'm community outreach coordinator, community relations, Native American liaison, and I work on the homeless action team. So the changes in my life, which resounded from having staffing from MSTIL, helped change my life, but also helped change my kids, because my kids all work now. You change my trajectory, you change my family's trajectory. So I am in hopes that you listen to my story and understand how much I've gone through to get to where I am and support this bill.
Thank you so very much for your testimony, and we are so excited about your progress, so thank you so very much. My question is, I understand what the base is and that there's a request for $8 million ongoing for people with disabilities. Can you tell me how many additional people will be served by the increased based amount?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for the
Gomez.
question.
Yes.
From Hibbing to Moorhead to Sauk Rapids, East Grand Forks, St. Paul, Rochester, Marshall, Mankato, our 8 centers. What's important is that in our rural areas, our centers for independent living have the issue of distance, have the issue of isolation. So we see that the capacity that you have invested in us will help us to be able to reach people, whether it's in the metro area. We're out of 650,000 people with disabilities, 50% in the state of Minnesota, 50% live in the metro area. Keep in mind the report that Senator Pappas had mentioned, that we need $18.5 million in order to fully realize our centers. That was 10 years ago. So we believe that this helps us to build the capacity, helps us to meet the need, and help us to make certain that the folks, just like Carol, that we're able to assist them with additional resources.
Any other questions for the testifiers? Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair Champion, and thank you, Senator Pappas, for bringing this bill forward. Important work that they do. I guess just a couple quick questions. The first, how is the funding determined between the 8 different regions? Is there a formula set? Is it per person? How does that work? If you just give us a little brief description, that'd be wonderful.
Beth Gomez.
Mr. Chair, Senator, that's a great question. I believe that's divided equally among the 8 centers. And the reason being is that whether it's in the metro area or in Mankato or other areas. We're respectful of distance, we're respectful for location, we're respectful for resources, so they are divided by the 8 centers equally.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And then, can you just give us a brief understanding of the other funding sources for the 8 centers? How much is private donations, local, or federal? And then, of course, the state we heard. But so just a brief description, if you could, sir. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, Senator, it's a great question. The Administration for Community Living, through the Centers for Independent Living, are provided for, the 8 centers are provided $1 million in federal funding. And each center, it's up to them to seek additional resources, additional funding as well. Those are the primary 2 sources of funding for the Centers for Independent Living.
Any follow-up?
No, I appreciate your time. Thank you. And then I'd love to be on this bill if you got room. So thank you.
Any other?
Mr. Chair, if I may make one clarification, that's $1 million divided by the 8 centers from the federal government. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions for any of the testifiers? Final comments before we lay this bill over for possible inclusion, Senator Pappas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to add Senator Draheim. I have Senator Dames and Senator Howe as well on the bill. And if anyone else would like to be on, there's still room for one more person. So let me know.
With that being said, Senate File Number 1335 is laid over for possible inclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I mentioned timing always being key. And now we've been joined by, and I know that she was away at another hearing with her bill, Senator Mohamed. We will now listen to, be presented with Senate File Number 1145, which is Senator Mohamed. And while she's coming to the table, we will ask Ms. Nomer to tell us about any past financial support or not. And also with Senator Mohamed, if I can see Adair Mosley and also R.T. Ryback, who is the former mayor of the city of Minneapolis. So, Ms. Nomer.
Mr. Chair and committee members, to my knowledge, the Jobs Committee has not funded this program before. It seems to be a new program, a new initiative. But the bill does include some funding, $50 million in fiscal year 2026, and then $25 million in fiscal year 28, and $25 million again in fiscal year 2029. But beyond that, a base of $0.
All right. Any other questions? That's roughly $100 million. Is that right? All right. Any other questions about the financial issue before we go forward? Seeing none, Senator Mohamed, welcome to your committee. If you could start us off with Senate File Number 1145. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This is Senate File 1145. This bill before you is for the Groundbreak Capital Access and Innovation Fund. And I'd like to start by thanking my co-authors, Senator Champion, Senator Pah, Senator Housley, and Senator Gustafson. Can I start with the A1 amendment, Mr. Chair?
You can. Anything that you'd like to do?
Yeah, the A1 amendment requires the Groundbreak Coalition to raise an additional $10 million in private investments before public funds are released. And it requires one-to-one matching contributions for every state dollar invested.
Members, Senator Mohamed moves the A1 amendment. Do you have any questions about the A1 amendment? Any other discussions about the A1, or you're fine, you ready for us to vote on it? All right. All in favor of the A1 amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The A1 amendment is adopted. You are now listening to, and she's presenting Senate File Number 1145 as amended. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Groundbreak is a private-public initiative working to expand capital access to capital to accelerate wealth building, particularly for people who face historic and current barriers to mainstream media, to mainstream capital and generational wealth. This bill before you would invest $50 million in fiscal year 2026 and 2027, and $50 million in the next biennium to expand access to flexible capital for entrepreneurship, neighborhood commercial real estate development, and home ownership. State investments would be granted to the Minneapolis Foundation and deployed through a CDFI alongside private investments. This bill would provide capital for 3 financial tools: up to $50,000 in forgivable business-to-startup loans, funding for up to 2% of project costs for neighborhood commercial real estate developments, and $25,000 in forgivable down payment assistance loans. I have few testifiers with me, Mr. Chair, and then I'd be happy to answer some questions. But I think in this committee, we don't often have organizations that come before us that are willing to put private dollars in, and I think it's a good program.
And all right, with that being said, thank you so much. Welcome, Dare Mosley is first on my list, I see. Unless, do we want to go to the, okay, to Dare first. Okay, Dare, if you'd be so kind as to introduce yourself for the record and then give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Mr. Mosley, welcome.
Thank you, Senator Champion, the chair of the committee, and members of the committee. My name is Adair Mosley, and I serve as the CEO of the African American Leadership Forum, a statewide think and do tank whose mission is to create radical Black futures where justice and opportunity are actualized. I also serve on the Executive Council of the Groundbreak Coalition alongside leaders from private and philanthropic institutions, so thank you for this opportunity to speak today. Founded in 2022, Groundbreak believes that wealth and opportunity in our state should be available to all. And when capital flows where it has never before, we all benefit from a more economically vibrant state. As you hear in this committee, capital is critical for powering people's aspirations and wealth building. This is particularly true for Minnesotans who face historic and contemporary barriers to mainstream capital and generational wealth. In response to long-standing community requests for more reliable access to capital, Groundbreak is building a nation-leading system to unlock $5.3 billion of capital over the next decade to provide 11,000 homeowners, 60 new commercial developments, 5,000 entrepreneurs, which will create 8,000 new jobs, mostly through financial institutions. With an initial focus on building Black wealth, Groundbreak seeks to show that through partnership, all Minnesotans can have the same likelihood of owning a home, creating a new business, or an economic development project, no matter their race or background. Strategies have come from the community who have identified what tools they would need in order to remove the financial barriers. Foundations and banks brought ideas to scale solutions and expand lending. After securing $940 million in capital investments, mostly through lending, coalition partners have built the infrastructure to make capital flow at scale through existing CDFIs.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley.
Thank you.
If you have one more sentence, that would be it, unless you can stand and you'll have to sit there until we ask you some additional questions. Mr. Mosley, any last line?
The last sentence is, we thank you for your consideration and respectful in your partnership.
See, I knew it was some wonderful thing that you were going to say.
Thank you, Mr. Champion.
Mr. Mosley. We're now going to former mayor of the city of Minneapolis, but now the president and CEO of the Minneapolis Foundation, R.T. Ryback. Welcome to the committee. Identify yourself for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and we're very, very proud to come before this committee to be able to say we've mobilized close to $1 billion of capital that will go into the state's economy, creating jobs, homes, and businesses, and we believe we can do significantly more. We can do that because a coalition has come together that has never come together in this state before. It represents almost every single financial institution, almost every foundation in the metropolitan area, a number of businesses like Target, Mortenson, Securian, and a number of others, as well as private individuals who stand ready to help. We took that coalition and took on one of the largest issues that has ever faced this state, which is the inability of this economy to deliver fair outcomes for every Minnesotan. We asked the financial institutions especially to say, why have loans not gone to these groups? And the answer was they saw too much risk there. So the foundations and the other individuals said, why don't we partner, put dollars into the table, and de-risk those loans, putting it into 3 different pools, one for patient capital, one for low-interest loans, and one for grants. By putting that together, we create less risk and create more incentive in it for the lending institutions to put in these dollars. The grants will go out, the loan pool and the grants will go out through professionals who do that work. Banks will loan to homeowners, as they do. Businesses will get that capital through existing community development nonprofit organizations, which have been very effective in this community. The grants will flow through the Minneapolis Foundation, not to them. We put out $100 million a year in grants and currently are doing a $60 million federal grant as well as the $35 million one we did for the state. There's great thought that's been put into this over 3 years. It's a coalition that is together, but it came together post George Floyd's murder. It will not stay together forever. What we need now is a commitment from the state to join this unprecedented coalition.
Thank you so very much. And just as a question, you have a coalition, and is Tanya Allen also a part of this coalition as well? Who wants to speak to that?
Senator Mohamed, Mr. Chair, Senator Champion, Tanya Allen is actually, I believe, one of the central reason why this started. She is the president and CEO of the McKnight Foundation. She came to town and said she was going to do big things, and she helped put her foundation's very significant weight behind this, and the rest of us followed.
She is a very driven person and figure, and I like her presence in this wonderful state and in this wonderful work. So if you talk to her, tell her I at least mentioned her. Any questions? Senator Drahan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Mohamed, for bringing your bill forward. Interesting idea. The way it looks to me, it's set up for Minneapolis. So my first question would be, would someone in my district be able to benefit from this $100 million injection of funds?
Senator Mohamed, to the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll ask for some help. But I think it does serve more than just Minneapolis. It serves the 7 metro counties for sure, because we do have the largest communities in that area.
Senator, excuse me, I almost called you Senator Ryback. Mr. Ryback.
Thank you. I appreciate the promotion. Mr. Chair and Senator, this is for the 7-county metropolitan area. It is also, we believe, a coalition that is leading the way on how we could apply this through the rest of the state, and our commitment is to ensure that we would partner with this body and others to build that kind of coalition. It exists now for the 7 counties, but Mr. Chair, I believe we can apply the same technology there.
Senator Drahan, and Mr. Ryback, if you'll stay sitting there, that would be helpful. Senator Drahan.
Thank you. I'm gonna pivot a little bit. Just for the committee's knowledge, down payment assistance programs are very plentiful in the metro, but in outstate, they're hard to find. So I have a hard time with $100 million going out that doesn't support the whole state. But my next question has to do with the transparency. As you know, I'm a broken record on that. Senator Mohamed. So I know there's some reporting requirements in the bill, and I appreciate that. But in the part where the Minneapolis Foundation must establish and maintain a public website reporting performance measures, can you just give us an example of what would be reported on that website for the foundation?
Would you like the president CEO to address that question?
Whoever's capable of the chair, thanks.
All right. Senator Mohamed, I'll let you decide who you want to answer the question. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll actually have you answer the question.
Kensaj Mosa here with the Groundbreak Coalition. Chair Champion, Senator Draheim, that reporting requirement was recommended by DEED when we worked with them on the bill 2 years ago, so we've kept it in. I think in some programs it's been useful to have a dashboard that shows how many loans have gone out the door, how many people have been served, how many funds have been used or are still available. It's a way to create transparency and show where funds are going.
Senator Drahan, follow up?
Yep, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the answer. So will there be any tracking of jobs created?
To the testifier.
Senator Champion, Senator Draheim, yes, there will be tracking for how many jobs are created. The goal for Groundbreak is to create 5,000 new businesses, creating 8,000 new jobs.
Thank
Senator
you.
Draheim.
I'm good, thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Nelson.
And Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple questions. And I'll just give them both to you. I'm reading on line 1.12 about equity enhancements, and I didn't know where the equity enhancements are in the bill, so I wanted to know if you could describe that a little bit. And then my second question had to do with the forgivable loans. Are all of these forgivable loans? So kind of describe for me the forgivable loans, the equity enhancement, and then my third thing just to think about is I noted that only, I think it was for the forgivable loans, there only needed to be one W-2 employee. And I was just curious, it seems like maybe that could be the person applying for the loan, maybe there should be more than one person. So if you could just kind of touch on those three things, please. Thank you.
To the testifier.
Do you want to answer those?
Yep, Chair Chan.
Answer those three questions.
Chair Champion, Senator Nelson, thank you for the questions. I think I've got them all, but may need to be reminded on the last one.
Sure.
The equity enhancement section is in subdivision 4, commercial real estate development equity enhancements. What we found in a work group process is that developers really needed help getting all of the financing put together, and Groundbreak seeks to make it so that the institutions that have the loans and the traditional bank loans are coming together at the table to provide about 95% of the financing through a loan pool as well as traditional bank loans. And then we found that developers really needed support getting over the finish line. They could usually put 3% of their own equity or collateral into a project, but needed about 2% equity enhancements to get to the full amount that they need. So that's where that is connected to.
Mr. Chair?
Hold on, I think she's going to answer your other two
Well, no,
questions.
I just want to address that. So that's in
Senator
subdivision.
Nelson.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. That's in subdivision 4 then, correct? Thank you. Please.
Thank you. The other questions to the testifier.
Chair Champion, Senator Nelson, the question about forgivable loans. So in subdivision 3, there's forgivable startup loans. This is intended to be basically friends and family type startup loans. Many entrepreneurs are the ones who are loaning money to their friends and family. So this seeks to create an option for businesses to start with some of that seed capital that they need to get launched. And the intention is that they would hire at least. Preference would be given to businesses that seek to hire at least one W-2 employee. So there's a little bit more of an incentive to provide loans for businesses that are creating jobs in addition to the solopreneur or the entrepreneur who's started the business.
Any other follow-up? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the one W-2 employee would not be the owner. So there's the owner and then the W-2 employee. Thank you.
To the testifier, you are nodding your head. You want to say?
Yes.
There we go. All right.
Thank you.
Any other? All right. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And when you have the financial institutions and the loan is being repaid, do repayments get split back to the financial institutions, or do they stay within the Groundbreak corpus?
To the testifier, Senator Pratt is our resident banker, so I'm going to just tell you that ahead of time. To the testifier.
Chair Champion, Senator Pratt, the loans would go back to the CDFIs. There's in subdivision 5 for the down payment assistance loans, there's pretty detailed outline for in what cases loans would be repaid. And so they'd go to CDFIs, not to the banks.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So could you explain why forgivable loans and why on such a short timeline? The commercial startup loans are forgivable after 3 years. The down payment assistance is forgivable within 5 years. Seems like a fairly short time frame. And then can you confirm that it's the state money that's forgiven, not any of the CDFI's money that's forgiven based on your previous answer?
To the testifier.
Chair Champion, Senator Pratt, so the time frame, Groundbreak's capital pools. There's a mix of the grant pool managed by the Minneapolis Foundation and a low-cost patient capital loan pool. The funding that is flowing for forgivable loans is intended to be really as flexible as possible, forgiven in a fairly short timeline. There is other types of capital that will be at the table provided by other investors that are more traditional 15-year, longer-term loans.
And it appears, Senator Pratt, if I'm looking at the line at 2.20 and 2.21, it seems to suggest that there's a contingency, which is if the business uses funds for approved purposes. Correct. So I guess that would have to happen, which means that the approved purpose has been fulfilled, and therefore there's the possibility of moving forward. But that's my understanding. But maybe the testifier wants to clarify if I'm right or wrong.
Senator Champion, you are correct.
Senator Pratt, any follow-up?
No, Mr. Chair. I think I would hope they're being used for the approved purposes. So I'm presuming that we're going to be forgiving the loans. My concern is that every time we see a forgivable loan program come through, it's the state money that's forgiven, and everybody else seems to get repaid. And so that means we'll be stepping in time after time after time, refilling this, and particularly when we're talking about hard assets, real estate in particular, as you know, I've had real concerns over that.
Yes.
I don't see why this has to be a forgivable program. We haven't gotten a real good explanation on why forgivable is essential. We had long conversations after the riots that, there was so much damage, right? And such a financial strain on people who had invested their life savings having to come up with that we compromised and came up with a forgivable portion of that under unique circumstances. But I think as an ongoing program, we can continue to discuss those concerns.
And I welcome anyone from Groundbreak if you want to submit any additional information, even as a result of hearing some of the concerns around the table, because this bill will be laid over for possible inclusion, but that doesn't mean that we won't accept, listen to, and circulate any information that would be necessary. I see that Mr. Ryback came back. Do you have a question, Mr. Ryback, or something you want to speak to?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I may illuminate a point. Senator Pratt rightfully worries about the state being the only one being on the hook for these, if you will. That will not be the case. There are foundations that have already put significant dollars in and probably will be in excess of the state's commitment that will be part of that. Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt, you're correct that you were instrumental in being very helpful after George Floyd's murder and the Main Street program in a wonderful and deeply appreciated way for many people. This is a different scenario, and we recognize the fact that the state should not be in that position.
Thank you. Any other questions for the testifiers? Seeing none, last comments? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Senator Parr. I wasn't trying to ignore you. Senator Parr.
Thank you, Chair Champion. I don't have any questions, but I do just want to speak in support of this bill. I want to thank Senator Mohamed for bringing this bill forward and championing it. I love this bill because I love the fact that our state is not the only one investing in this, right? Our portion of this investment really leverages incredible investments from outside. Over $900 million in capital investment commitments from investors like the Poland Family Foundation, Target, the McKnight Foundation, Cargill, U.S. Bank, so many more, driving economic growth here in Minnesota. So I absolutely support this. Whenever we can leverage and bring in more investments, that's a win for our state. So again, thank you, Senator Mohamed, for championing this, and I hope that we will be able to fund the entire amount. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Parr. Senator Mohamed, you can have the last word before we lay Senate File 1145 as amended over for possible inclusion. Senator Mohamed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members, for the really thorough discussion on this issue. I think very often in this committee, we talk about sort of what it means for the state to not be the only dollars into a project or into any work that we're going to do. This is one of those very rare opportunities where we're seeing banks and national institutions come in and say, we're willing to put our money in as long as you guys are willing to step up, and we have the opportunity to do that. These folks have already proven themselves. They've raised almost $1 billion, and now we just put an amendment in this bill that says until they raise $10 million from private institutions, we're not willing to give them money. And so we're putting some roadblocks to make sure that the state's money is protected, but these folks are also professionals. They've been doing this for a long time, and so I want to thank them for putting this together and doing it, and I hope we are able to do this. And I know Senator Draham says this because I serve in housing with him over and over again. We talk about how he is a broken record on the gap when it comes to home ownership, and this is an opportunity for us to do that and bring in private dollars, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Mohamed. With that being said, Senate File Number 1145, as amended, will be laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you, Senator Mohamed. Now, members, we are going to a couple bills that is being presented today by Senator Pah. The first one that we're going to go to is 1187, which is her first bill in the Jobs Committee. As Senator Pah is coming forward, it is my understanding that you have well, at least 4 testifiers, 3 at least. And we asked them to come to the table, and we can we get one of the interns or someone to bring us a chair? That'd be great. And while we're getting settled, we're going to go to Ms. Noner, who's going to tell us if there's been any appropriations given before. Ms. Noner.
Mr. Chair and committee members, this appropriation, or this program has received $1 million one time in fiscal year 2025, in the 2024 bill last year, and I believe for the same purpose.
All right. So in 2025, at $1 million, and now they're asking for $2 million. Is that right for 26, 27, or 26?
Mr. Chair, yes, that is correct. So Senate File 1187 is proposing $2 million one time for fiscal year 2026.
Thank you so very much. With that being stated, Senator Pah, if you would give us the overview, and then you can start introducing your testifiers once you feel comfortable after giving your overview. Senator Pah.
Thank you, Chair Champion and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to present SF 1187. So 1187 requests $2 million from the Workforce Development Fund to support Brooklink career pathways, youth entrepreneurship, and community partnerships programming. Brooklink is a joint workforce development programming efforts between the City of Brooklyn Park and the City of Brooklyn Center that invests in underrepresented communities. Through coordinated partnerships with employers, Brooklink provides clear pathways for youth and adults to careers in bio and med tech, skilled trades, entrepreneurship, and more. Chair and committee members, I actually had the great opportunity to actually witness firsthand the power of Brooklink and the program when I served on the Brooklyn Park City Council. I saw many of our young people before entering the program. They were uncertain about their futures. Some lacked directions, some lacked access. But when given the opportunity through job training, internships, and mentorship, these young individuals flourished. They developed skills, built confidence, gained important experiences that set them on the path of success. I can testify to the hundreds and hundreds of young people that we've changed the lives of, and we really need programs like this to exist so that we're empowering and helping our next generation of leaders, innovators for the state of Minnesota. Chair Champion, I do have 3 testifiers with me today, whenever you're ready.
I am ready, Senator Pah. So the first testifier, I believe, is going to be Mayor Winston. Mayor Winston, thank you and welcome to the committee, and thank you for the work that you do in your great city. Mayor Winston, if you'd be so kind as to introduce yourself for the record and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Mayor Winston. Well, not my name, but I am Hollis Winston, Mayor of the wonderful city of Brooklyn Park. Thank you, Chair Champion, and thank you, committee, for hearing us out. And then thank you to Senator Pop for introducing this, but also for the work you did prior to your promotion here. So thank you. Just quickly, a little bit of context. I know we sent out some information around biotech. We are here specifically to just talk about the workforce component, just to level set with that. And a little bit of context of Brooklink. So this program has been around for about 2 years. It's a program between Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, serves 14 to 24-year-old kids, both in school and out of school. And it prepares our youth to enter the job market or to start their own business. So we're serving around 300 youth annually with this, and we've had a great deal of success with this. I think this does not just come out of Brooklyn Park having a program to help youth. We are also creating a biotech district within the city of Brooklyn Park that'll create about 5,000 to 10,000 jobs. What we have learned, not just from folks who are thinking about placing their businesses in that biotech district, but also from current manufacturers in Brooklyn Park, is that there is a need for this type of program. So access to workforce, we know, is a problem across the state, but within our own city, many businesses have struggled or failed due to the lack of a skilled workforce, and many of these manufacturing firms or other firms are asking us to help with this workforce component. This has been a successful model. So Bloomington, which we think is one spot larger than us, they are actually introducing this model along with Hopkins, and I think this is just a unique program they're offering within our city that is meeting a very real need that the state is struggling with, but we are also struggling with locally, and we're being proactive around that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. We'll now go to Tim Gladhill, who is the Community Development Director and Executive Director for the City of Brooklyn Park. Welcome to the committee, and please provide your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Chair, Senators. It's an honor to be here and be serving the city of Brooklyn Park and really celebrating our 10 years of success in this joint endeavor with the city of Brooklyn Center, that is Brooklink. Annually, as mentioned, we're serving over 300 youth. From there, 100 of those youth participate in paid summer opportunities. And then out of that youth entrepreneur program, we have historically served 50 youth. We are starting to get more and more constricted on our ability to serve, and that's really what we're talking about here today, is expanding those opportunities. The demand is high. We're not able to serve all the youth that want to participate in this program. We pivot a little bit and try to provide many of our great programs. We want to have that great foundation, that stabilization to continue into the future. 80% of our program is grant funded. Your last year's allocation was twofold. $500,000 was directly to the Brooklink program. $500,000 was to our small business center, another great economic opportunity we have in the city of Brooklyn Park. Our reach is far beyond just the two cities of Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center. In fact, one of our employer partners is Cummins Electric out of Fridley. So we're not only serving the youth of Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, but we're finding job opportunities beyond our borders as well with our strong alumni. So with that, we appreciate your consideration here today and able to stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, and I ask that you will stay with us until we get through your last testifier, which is Jude Nadi. If you'd be so kind as to, first of all, correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation of your last name, but also welcome to the committee and introduce yourself for the record and provide your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Senator Champion. Yeah, you got it right.
All right.
My name is Jude Nadi. I'm the founder of Equitable Development Action, EDA, a nonprofit organization that provides capacity development for small businesses and organizations in the underserved communities. I'm also a small business owner, Patio Inc., that provides training and operational services to small businesses to thrive. I'm a father of 4 teenagers who have all gone through the Brooklink program. I'm proud to say that 3 of them are doing well in college, while the last one is warming up. What a relief dealing with these teenagers. We have had many interns from Brooklyn Park for many years, and Abdul was an intern with us last year. He did so well that he won a capital award to start his clothing business through the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, YEP. He thrived so well with us that he became our mentee. We are still supporting him after his internship ended last year. He also gained a 2-year cybersecurity internship with Medtronic and has gained multiple admissions to colleges. I must confess that Brooklink played a critical role in this young man's impressive success. As you can see, Abdul is on fire. I'm asking you, members of this committee, to pass this appropriation for Brooklink, so that Brooklink will continue to build these young people, shape their future, and provide critical workforce our state needs to continue to be competitive in 21st century. One important aspect of Brooklink and YEP is that it pays for some part of the internship, helping for wider participation. It's really hard for these interns to work for free when their families are under heavy financial pressure. Otherwise, they will flip burgers for $15 an hour and miss this critical stage of their life's development. Brooklink is changing lives and building a future workforce with heavy returns to Minnesota economy. Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you so much for your testimony. And Senator Powell, I'm not sure who wants to answer this question, but I think I heard you say that annually the program serves around 300 youth. I naturally assume that's per year. And if that's true, you can correct me there. But how many youth would be served by this expansion? Because you're asking for 100% increase. So who ended up with it? The mayor, Mayor Winston.
Yeah, so I think what we're seeing in terms of demand is that we could actually double that. So it might end up being 500 or 600 youth. We just have a huge pipeline, and then we have an increasing pipeline of companies that actually want to work with us within this program. So I think that pipeline is there. I don't know if Director has anything to add to that, but about 600.
And just a follow-up to that, so that 600 youth that comes through your program, does that, how many of those youth did you all place in the job market? And I think I heard Mr. Nadi said that their wages were roughly $10 an hour. So if you could answer and clarify my inquiry, that would be great. Mr. Gladhill.
Thank you, Chair, members of our senators. When we look at participating in the paid summer opportunities, we place at least 100 as part of that. And then we hope that career pathways continues. I'd have to report back in terms of after the internships and their full-time jobs and their trajectory, that alumni network. I don't have those stats in front of me today, but we can certainly get to that in short order.
That'd be great, and we'll make sure that we circulate that information. Any additional questions for the testifiers or for Senator Powell? Seeing none, Senator Powell, you can give us your closing comments before we lay Senate File Number 1187 on the table for possible inclusion. Senator Powell.
Thank you, Chair Champion and committee members. I'm just really proud of the program that we've had here in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center with Brooklink, and love that you guys are all considering this as we talk about the investments we make. Thank you.
With that being said, Senate File Number 1187 is laid on the table for possible inclusion. Thank you, Senator Powell. Thank you to your testifiers. Thank you for being with us. Now we will go to Senator Powell's last bill, which is Senate File Number 1276. Before Senator Powell gives us an overview, I'm going to turn to Ms. Nolner to tell us about the financial picture.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Senate File 1276 is proposing funding for the Minnesota Grocers Association, and this has received funding in the past. So in fiscal year 2022 and 2023, $500,000 from the Workforce Development Fund over the biennium was appropriated. In fiscal year 24-25, $200,000 from the general fund was appropriated, and Senate File 1276 proposes $750,000 a year in fiscal year 26-27 for a total of $1.5 million over the biennium in one-time funding from the Workforce Development Fund.
Thank you, thank you. All right, Senator Powell, if you will give us your opening comments around Senate File Number 1276, and just so that the committee knows, we have one person here, which is Mr. Barthel. And then we also have Kendra Knapp, who is the assistant manager from Teals, who will be with us virtually. Senator Pa.
Thank you, Chair Champion. So before I start, I'd like to offer an amendment, the A1. I'd like to move that amendment,
All right, just
please.
hold on one moment. We're going to make sure that we have that A1 amendment. We have it in a different, I know we had an A1 on another bill. While we look around for that A1, you want to tell us a little bit about the bill and a little bit about the A1 as we look to see if we have it. Senator Pa.
Yes. Chair Champion and committee members, so the bill SF 1276 is a bill that will provide funding for the successful Minnesota Grocers Association's Cart to Careers initiative. And the amendment itself really is the original language of the bill, adding a few additions, two specifically, which is the addition of hiring support for workers with disability and for the recruitment of employees who have been previously incarcerated. So those are the two new features onto the original bill.
Okay.
Chair Champion and committee members, Carts to Career have been funded by the legislature since 2019. This bill is seeking a $750,000 per year appropriation for 2026 and 2027 out of the Workforce Development Fund. We all know that workforce shortages are an ongoing problem for nearly every industry in the state, and the retail food industry is no exception. Employers are desperate for employees who are looking for innovative ways to recruit and retain them. The Carts to Career program is an example of one of these innovations. As a global leader, the retail food industry is a major component of our state's economic success, viability, and stability. The food chain runs deep in Minnesota with food manufacturers, distributors, retailers, providing 1 out of every 20 jobs. The industry is known for providing first-time jobs. These jobs are imperative to building the foundation of our next generation's future. What sometimes gets overlooked is the fantastic lifetime career opportunities that this industry actually provides. However, with the current and projected workforce shortages, it's critical and important for us to make sure that we back our Main Street businesses by supporting educational opportunities to establish growth and the success of the next generation of food industry leaders. So to help address this ongoing challenge in recruiting workers, the proposal, like I said before, incorporates 2 new features to the original bill, which is hiring support for workers with disabilities and for the recruitment of employees who have been previously incarcerated. This is a proven, successful program that provides good investments for our state. Chair Champion and committee members, I do have 2 testifiers, like the chair had mentioned before. And I would like to go ahead and introduce Steve Bartel. I hope I'm saying that right. I know I'm not. Director of Government Relations for the Minnesota Grocers Association.
Welcome, Mr. Steve Bartel. I hope I'm following her lead and I'm getting it right. But if we're wrong, please correct us and state your name for the record and welcome to the committee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Steve Bartle. I'm Director of Government Relations with the Minnesota Grocers Association. I'm here on behalf of the MGA's sister organization, the Minnesota Grocers Association Foundation, which was established in 1992. Our foundation provides tuition grants, scholarships, and supports for community efforts, and has since expanded to include workforce development initiatives and career advancement programs. Part of the mission of the MGA is to highlight that jobs in our industry aren't just jobs, but they are excellent opportunities for long-term careers with competitive pay and benefits. We represent Main Street, Minnesota. Our membership spans over 300 companies, and which includes over 1,300 locations statewide. We want to thank Senator Pa for being the chief author of Senate File 1276 and acknowledge the support of our co-authors, Senator Draheim, Senator Gustafson, and Senator Nelson. We deeply appreciate the backing of this bill and our Carts to Careers program. which has maintained bipartisan support since 2019. Carts to Careers is a multi-pronged approach to expanding the industry's workforce. This is a proven program that has utilized and built on existing programs helping individuals develop sustainable, fulfilling careers. I'd also like to emphasize to the committee that all of the programs that fall under our Carts to Careers umbrella require matching support from employers or sponsoring companies, an important factor that contributes to the success of our Carts to Careers program. Our initial flagship program, the Retail Management Certificate program, which was developed in partnership with Alexandria Technical and Community College. This program is an 8-course, 2-year program with transferable credits that can be applied later to a 2- or 4-year degree. By next year, we expect that the Retail Management Certificate program will reach nearly 100 graduates statewide, with another cohort start to begin this spring. In 2023, we developed additional education programs to address gaps in the supply chain. One such program is our Transportation and Driving course, designed for warehouse workers who are seeking to earn a highly sought-after CDL license.
Thank you so very much. Your time is up. Do you have one last sentence that you were going to say?
We are looking to expand the program, which is in part, as we'll talk about, the increase in the ask. But with that, we just thank you for your consideration, and we'll want to get to our other testifier. Thank you.
All right. We will then go to Zoom now to the testifier. That's Kendra Nath. Are you with us on Zoom?
Yes.
All right. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your 2 minutes of testimony.
Chair Champion, members of the committee, I am Kendra Nathy. I graduated from the Retail Management Program in 2021. I am excited to tell you about my experience with the program. What I really liked about the program was I was able to work full-time while taking classes. The classes I benefited from the most was the communication class. It helped me communicate with coworkers and with customers. I started working at Teal's Market when I was 15 years old. I started out as a cashier. When I was 18, I got promoted to shift manager. After I graduated high school, I got another promotion to department manager. I got asked about this program a few years later, and I was willing to do it because I was able to work full-time and take classes. Classes were very easy to take. Teachers were very understanding that you are a full-time worker and a student. Now I am an assistant store manager at Teal's Market in Cold Spring, Minnesota, and I cannot thank this program enough for getting me this far. Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee, for your time, and I hope you will consider supporting this valuable program.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Thank you to both of the testifiers. Any questions for Senator Powell or her testifiers? Any questions? Senator Nelson, and we're still waiting for that amendment. Senator Nelson.
Yes, can I just make a comment, not a question? I just want to express how phenomenal it is, I think, and how effective it is when business sectors engage in workforce training. This is what we heard with your testifier. This is an example of a program that works so well. I thank you for bringing this, Senator Pah, and I think this is an example, really, of workforce development. What works best is actually the industry itself working to help develop the workers that are needed. So thank you for bringing this. I think it's a great model, and I wish you great success.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Members, with that being said, you should have on your, before you now, the A1 amendment that Senator Pah spoke about. Can we make sure that she has the A1, or do you have it already?
I already have it.
Senator Pah, is there anything else you want to say about the A1 before we see if there's any discussion before we vote?
No, I don't.
Thank you so much. Senator Pah moves the A1 amendment. Any discussion on the A1 amendment that she described earlier for us? And thank you, Tom, for getting it to us. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The A1 amendment is adopted. Any other questions or inquiries? Seeing none, Senator Pah, if you'd be so kind as to give us your closing remarks before we lay Senate file number 1276 as amended on the table for possible inclusion. Senator Pah.
Thank you, Chair Champion, and thank you, committee members. Thank you for this time to present this bill, and I do just want to also say thank you to Senator Draham, Senator Gustafson, Senator Nelson for being co-authors on this, and I look forward to more discussions about the investments we can make in Cart to Careers.
Thank you, Senator Paz, not only for this bill, but for your other presentation. And with that being said, Senate File 1276 as amended will be laid over for possible inclusion. Members, that concludes our business for this meeting. Our next hearing will be on Wednesday, February 19th. If there are no questions, with that, the committee and this meeting is adjourned.